Hello again, everybody. I'm Chris. I'm all set to count down the 40 most played country records in the USA, compiled by Mediabase 24/7 for the chart week of August 9th, 2025. Before I get started counting down this week's biggest hits, let's take a look back at last week's top three. At number 3 was Park by Tyler Hubbard. Number 2 was Just in Case by Morgan Wallen. And the number 1 song last week was Sam Hunt's Country House. That became his 13th number 1 hit. Now, can he hang on to that number 1 spot again this week? Let's find out starting right now. Here's the first of the 40 biggest hits, a debut from Riley Green. His last time out, he went all the way to number 1 with Worst Way. This week, he teams up with an old duet partner, Ella Langley, for their second duet, coming in at number 40, the first of 3 debuts this week, called Don't Mind If I Do. At number 39, up a notch, here's Miranda Lambert with Chris Stapleton and the song To Sing. Slipping back 2 spots to number 38 is Chris Young with Till the Last One Dies. Well, I love this. Another Chris on the chart, Chris Jansen, as he climbs 2 to number 37 with Me and a Beer. Here's the second of this week's 3 debuts, rolling in at number 36, the first chart hit by newcomer Preston Cooper, called Wake. At number 35 again this week, here's Dylan Scott with What He'll Never Have. Back a notch to number 34, here's Ernest with Would If I Could. At number 33, up a notch, here's Megan Patrick with Golden Child. Holding steady at number 32 is Justin Moore with Time's Ticking. And at number 31 again this week, here's Blake Shelton with Stay Country or Die Trying. At number 30 again this week is Hardy, called Favorite Country Song. At number 29 again this week, Megan Maroney and Kenny Chesney, called You Had to Be There. At number 28, back a notch this week, Parmalee with Cowgirl. At number 27, up 1, it's Zach Top with Good Times and Tan Lines. Holding at number 26 this week is George Birds and It Won't Be Long. And here's the week's highest debuting song, clocking in all the way up at number 25. It's the 24th top 40 hit by Luke Combs, called Back in the Saddle. Well, we had 3 debuts. That means 3 songs are off the chart this week. Those 3 songs are single again, Better Me For You and I Ain't Coming Back. On with the countdown at number 24, up a notch, Dierks Bentley with She Hates Me. Up a notch to number 23, and it's 26th week on the chart, Rascal Flatts and the Jonas Brothers with I Dare You. Up 1 to number 22, it's Morgan Wallen and I Got Better. At number 21 again this week, Hudson Westbrook with House Again. At number 20, falling back 2 spots, Keith Urban with Straight Line. At number 19, up a notch, Tucker Wetmore with 3, 2, 1. And here's this week's biggest mover, up 4 notches to 18, Chase Matthew with Darlin'. At number 17, up 2 spots, Parker McCollum with What Kind of Man. Up a notch to number 16, Lainey Wilson with Somewhere Over Laredo. Here's the song that's been on the chart the longest at 35 weeks, climbing a notch to number 15, Jackson Dean with Heavens to Betsy. Dropping back a notch to number 14, Eric Church with Hands of Time. Back a notch to number 13, here's John Party and Friday Night Heartbreaker. Up 2 spots to number 12, it's Jelly Roll with Heart of Stone. In the 11th ranked country hit again this week, it's Jordan Davis with Bar None. Right, here's the first of the 10 biggest hits, Sam Hunt, falling from number 1 last week to number 10 with Country House. At number 9, up a notch, here's Scotty McCreery and Hootie and the Blowfish, called Bottle Rockets. At number 8, up a notch, Russell Dickerson with Happened to Me. Up 1 to number 7, Bailey Zimmerman and Luke Combs with Backup Plan. At number 6, up a notch, Luke Bryan with the country song Came On. At number 5, dropping 3 spots this week, is Morgan Wallen's recent number 1 hit, Just in Case. At number 4, up a notch, here's Nate Smith with Fix What You Didn't Break. At number 3, up 3 spots, Shaboozey, called Good News. The song at number 2 this week is Thomas Rhett. He moves up 2 spots with After All the Bars Are Closed. And the new number 1 song in country music this week took 30 weeks to get here, climbing from number 3 last week to number 1. He scores his 4th number 1 hit. It's Tyler Hubbard with Park. And there you have it, our countdown of the 40 most played country records in the USA. Join me again next week. Once again, we'll count them down and we'll find out who's got the number 1 song in the USA. Thank you for listening.